Hello, a very special program of Cotton today. We have our guest, uh, Yashwan Sinhaji, who was the finance minister, earlier finance minister under Chandrasekhar, when Chandrasekhar was the prime minister, and then again under Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he was finance minister as well as towards the end of his career, he was the external affairs minister, and he was also the combined opposition candidate for the presidential election last time. So, a very welcome to our program, sir. Now, if you remember, when we invited you to Guwahati in 2019, that was the month of February, and we invited you to speak on the state of the nation and the way forward. Since 2019, 5 years have passed, and now, so what is the state of the nation now? Has it become better, or has I asked you that in the last 5 years, whether we are better off or whether the country has actual situation in the country has worsened.
Uh, let me tell you one thing. If economic growth is slow, you can increase economic growth. If there is foreign policy deficiency, you can remove those deficiencies. If there are other issues in governance, you can probably take care of them. But one thing which does permanent damage to any society is the effort on the part of the ruling clan to break apart society. If the society is divided amongst, let's say, various sects, castes, religions, then it becomes extremely difficult to repair that damage. And it takes a long period of time to ultimately bring everyone together. So, if you ask me, I would say that the most important question that we are facing today, which is facing the nation today, is the attempt on the part of the ruling people of the country to divide society along religious lines, along Hindu-Muslim lines. This is the most dangerous part. And because it is coming from the rulers, it becomes even more dangerous. Because if it comes from other people, then the government will take care of it. But if the government itself is involved, then who will take care of it? And I think during the last 5 years, this attempt has created a lot of problems. We are in the midst of general elections, and it is for the Prime Minister of the country, who is the leader of the country, to set the standard of discourse. Unfortunately, he himself is responsible personally for reducing the standard of discourse to such a low level that we are witnessing today. What does he mean by saying Congress will take away your Mangal Sutra? He's speaking lies through his ears. And that is making life very difficult. I mean, it's reducing the level playing field in these elections. We have an election commission whose functioning leaves much to be desired. They just don't have the courage to touch the Prime Minister, even ask him a question. They have not asked the most communal speech that the Prime Minister delivered in Rajasthan. They don't have the courage to issue a notice to him. That we should notice to the president of the party to explain. The Prime Minister of the country is making such a ridiculous and communal speech. So why don't you have the courage to issue a notice to him? What does he mean by saying they will loot your wealth and give it to those who produce more children? Those who are infiltrators? Are the Muslims infiltrators in this country? 15, 20 crore of them. Are they infiltrators? Is the Prime Minister now trying to reduce the level of debate to this extent, only in order to be able to win the election? but he forgets that he is doing long-term damage to our society and our polity.
You are in Indian public life for maybe 6 decades. 6 decades. So in these 6 decades, have you ever come across, or did you ever come across such a speech by the prime minister of the country, by a person who holds the position of the prime minister?
I have watched Indian prime ministers from Nehru's time. And as you are aware, I have worked closely with two. I was part of their government, Chandrasekhar ji and Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. Now, I will not compare Mr. Modi to Nehru or Indira Gandhi or Rajiv Gandhi or Lal Bahadur Shastri. I'll compare him to the BJP Prime Minister of this country, namely Atal Bihari Vajpayee. It is unthinkable that he would have used the language that Mr. Modi is using in public meetings. Mr. Vajpayee would never have descended to this depth. And Mr. Vajpayee was a great orator. You are aware of that. He used to keep the audience spellbound with his oratory. But he'd never say anything which was divisive, anything which was disagreeable to sections of society. And the present Prime Minister is only indulging in speeches which are divisive, which are disagreeable. So this is the most unfortunate part. In all the prime ministers that I have seen or worked with, I can say with confidence that nobody went to the extent to which our prime minister, the present prime minister, is going, just to get some votes.
And you, in the first part of your answer, you actually touch a very important issue when you said that if something comes from outside, if there is a problem to attend to, one can attend to that problem. One can actually prepare the nation. We can actually do everything to attend to take to that challenge. But when the basic foundation of the nation, the basic foundation of the nation, the very idea of India is being attacked and the foundation is eroded by the people who should be protecting it. Now, where are we?
Exactly. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. This is the problem, that if there are problems in society, if there are problems in governance, then the right-minded people who are in government will fix those problems. If there are issues with the people, they will take care of those issues. But if those who are in power, they themselves create problems, then who is going to take care of that? We have, as you're aware, over a period of time, built various institutions to strengthen our democracy. These are the pillars of democracy in our country. Now you weaken the pillars and you are weakening democracy in our country. One of the pillars is the executive. The executive has a very important responsibility, and the prime minister is the head of the executive. Now, if he himself is indulging in weakening that pillar and bringing it to the ground, then that pillar will collapse. Parliament, look at the way Parliament has been treated. Parliament will collapse. So another pillar goes. Then you have media. They have taken over the media. They have controlled the media. You have, where I never heard of Godi media in all my life. This is the first time that I'm hearing of Godi media. Just imagine, because most of the media has got corrupted and they become Godi media. So they have this advantage, which is reducing the level playing field in these elections. If the prime minister says the most ridiculous thing, these fellows in the television media and print media will not only print it and show it, they will also justify it. There will be no questions asked. I mean, here is a prime minister who has not addressed a press conference in 10 years. Can you imagine a situation like this in any country? Forget India. 10 years he has not addressed a press conference
Not a
because
single.
he does not want to take questions. He cannot face questions.
No, this is actually from your actually whatever you have said. There are so many things in the small thing. There are threats for so many things, but I'll not be able to actually deal with take all of them. But one thing I would just like to ask you now, when you are speaking about the level playing field, when there is an election, there is a concept, there is a thing called level playing field. Now, where is the level playing field, sir, now in this election?
There is no level playing field. Earlier, we only used to have one television channel, and that was Doordarshan. Doordarshan was a government-owned entity, and therefore it was easy to give directions to Doordarshan. Now we have a plethora of private TV channels.
Television.
And I don't know who controls them, but I'll just give you an example. If the Prime Minister is making an election speech, wherever, they will show it live. Then they'll go on repeating it the whole 24 hours until he makes another speech. Then they will go on repeating that. So, and as far as the opposition and the rest of the parties are concerned, there's absolutely no media coverage. This is where the level playing field is being disturbed. And the Election Commission is silently watching it without issuing any direction to the media not to indulge in this kind of favoritism.
So that is one example. Media. And so far the election commission is concerned, when something actually this, as you said in the beginning, when this prime minister could make such an atrocious speech, and then election commission was silent, they didn't do anything. They should have taken somewhat of cognizance of his speech.
That also, I mean, that they did not take. And when a complaint was lodged, then, as I said earlier, they're issuing notice not to the Prime Minister,
But to
to
the
president of the BJP. Why should he explain? The Prime Minister should explain.
Yes.
But they don't have the courage.
They don't have
And
the courage. They don't have the guts.
Yeah. And you are aware of the fact of the manner in which these two election commissioners who were sitting in the election commission as members were appointed in a hurry.
Yes.
You are aware of the fact of the change in law and how the Chief Justice of India was not made a party to the selection process. So it is everything is under the control of the Prime Minister. It's a one-person rule. So what is the difference between this and a dictatorship? It is a full-blown dictatorship that we are witnessing in India today. I mean, I'll give you another example. They are talking of Modi ki guarantee. They're not talking of Government of India guarantee. They're not talking of BJP's guarantee. They're talking of Modi ki guarantee. The entire manifesto of the BJP is Modi ki guarantee. So this one person has completely overtaken the party, the government, the parliament. He is riding roughshod all institutions of democracy in our country. And unfortunately, we are witnessing it. The people have no option but to tolerate it. But if I understand the people of India, as I do, they will show their disapproval when they go to cast their vote. And this is what has happened in the first two rounds. And I can tell you with complete confidence that Mr. Modi is out in this election. He is not returning to power.
So
and
you
that
are
is
saying
yes.
You are saying that in the last two phases, in the past phase of the elections, and the second phase, you are saying, you are categorically making a statement that Modi is not going to come back.
Let me tell you this. They planned the election in 7 phases. Why did the Election Commission plan the election in 7 phases? Because they thought it will give an opportunity to the Prime Minister to go and make public speeches, one phase after another phase after another phase, until the 7th phase. This is working against them because everyone in the country believes that the first phase has not gone in their favor. So the first phase had its impact on the minds of the voters in the second phase. Now we are aware of the fact that even the second phase has not gone in favor of BJP. So this is going to multiply. It will have a multiplier effect, 3rd phase, 4th phase, 6th phase, 7th phase. And by the 7th phase, it will become abundantly clear, as it is to me now, that Mr. Modi is out. He's not coming back as Prime Minister of this country.
Sir, you have made a very, very strong comment, and you are saying that in each phase, the situation is going down, down, and further down. And I hope the people who will watch this interview, they'll remember this when on in the first week of June. I hope you prove correct. And then the another thing which you say, that's quite interesting. Now he's saying it's not the BJP's guarantee, it's not, it's Modi's guarantee. And he comes from a background, from RSS background, where the collective, their main emphasis was on collective, not individual cult. RSS people, the Swayam Sevaks, they walk silently among the people. Even you do not know who is doing what. Now, basing on that philosophy, here is a man who says that, okay, no government, nobody else, no one else, only me.
And that's why I told you that I am not comparing it with Nehru, Pandit Nehru, or Indira Gandhi, or Lal Bahadur Shastri. I am comparing him to Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who was the BJP Prime Minister, first BJP Prime Minister of India, and with whom I had the great good fortune of working closely. He would have never indulged in this kind of thing. I can say with great degree of confidence, Mr. Vajpayee would never have gone down to this level in order to just get a few votes. And let me also tell you on a personal basis that we lost the 2004 elections. But, we did not regret the fact that we lost the election because we did good work for the country. And I also will share another secret with you. I was a finance minister. I came out with a lot of very tough measures. And Mr. Vajpayee never once did he tell me that this will not be good for votes. He never asked me to not do something because it will not be good for votes. That was Mr. Vajpayee. And the present Prime Minister, he does everything only for vote. There's nothing else in his...
Each day of the year is busy only aiming at the election, that okay, how I'm going to do this, whether it is going to actually affect the election, I'm going to get some electoral gain out of it. And that was what you said is something very important. Someone may agree with your policy or someone may not agree with your policy, but when you make a policy, you are convinced that okay, this is going to do good for the people. You are, while actually framing a policy, you never thought that okay, no, if I do this, maybe we may not get votes in the next election. So as a government, I think that should be the approach, that should be the attitude.
Your first responsibility in government is to work for national interest. I'll give you an example. Kerosene was a highly subsidized commodity when we came into office in 1998. It used to sell for 2 rupees a liter. It was highly subsidized. I worked on it in order to reduce the subsidy and kept on reducing it in budget after budget. And the price of kerosene actually went up. In my own election of 2004, I remember I had gone to a village in my constituency to ask for votes. And I came across an old woman. And she said, "Oh, aren't you the fellow who increased the price of kerosene?" I admit, yes, I had, you know, and I lost that election. But not for a moment did I regret the fact that I lost the election, because I knew in the heart of my hearts that I had worked for national interest.
So that's the thing. That's the difference. That's the difference. And Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he himself said that the prime minister, the ruler, the chief minister or the prime minister has to observe the Raj Dharma.
Yeah.
Raj Dharma. He spoke about the Raj Dharma. And
He
he was
told
very,
Modi,
huh,
he told Modi in Gujarat
yes,
after the
yes,
riots.
yes. He was very embarrassed actually. He was a very sad man after the riot in Gujarat riot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's okay. We are in a very, very bad shape, as you said, because the people who claim themselves that, okay, they are the nation builders, they are the number one patriots. So, in fact, they are doing everything to disintegrate the country. Sir, this is
Doing
what you say?
everything which is going to threaten the future of this country as a democratic, liberal, secular country. And there's one thing which is completely hidden from our people. This is the criticism in the Western media of the present situation in India. I remember earlier when Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister or somebody else was the Prime Minister, anything which appeared in the Western media, like in New York Times, Washington Post, Financial Times, London, it'll appear in our newspapers in big, big headlines. And today, there is absolute quiet. It's a silence of the graveyard as far as our media is concerned with regard to what's happening in foreign media. Occasionally, you hear about it only when the government sources criticize the foreign media without telling us what the foreign media has said. So, India's image is in the dumps. And Modi's greatest claim to fame in his 10 years has been that he has increased enhanced India's image in the globe, throughout the world. People, danka baj raha hai is what they say in Hindi. No danka is being sounded, nothing is happening. Our reputation is in the mud. And the best example of that is not far away somewhere. It is here in Maldives.
Maldives, yes.
Our closest neighbor. What's happening in Maldives? Maldives has shown us a thumb.
Yes.
And there is nothing we can do. And the Maldivian Prime Minister has come back again with a thumping majority.
Yes.
And India just watched. Just
Yes.
imagine. What a shame.
Yeah, that is very important because you were external affairs minister, so you know it better, much better than us, that how the actually external image, the internal policy of the country, how the internal policy of the country, the functioning of the country is linked to the international community. Now, all the hullabulla, all the noise you hear about Vishwaguru, so you say that it's absolutely nothing. It's in mud.
There's been nothing more nonsensical than claiming that we have become Vishwaguru or that Modi has enhanced the image of India in the world. I'll just give you one example. I was the External Affairs Minister, Mr. Vajpayee. I went to Washington in the January of 2004. And our ambassador in Washington told me that my first appointment was with the president of the US, who was Mr. Bush at that time. Bush had invited me to the White House to meet him in that famous Oval Office. And I went to meet him next morning in the Oval Office. The meeting lasted 20 minutes. And I'm not saying it with any pride or arrogance. I'm saying it humbly that so far I was the first Indian minister to be invited by the president of the US to meet him in the Oval Office. And no Indian prime minister has been given that honor so far. If Mr. Modi has enhanced the image of India, even more than Mr. Vajpayee did, then why doesn't his foreign minister meet the president of the US in the Oval Office? Simple.
He was actually a career diplomat, but now the kind of things we hear from him is actually don't go well with the position he holds.
There is a saying, you are aware of it in Hindi, that a new Musalman eats too much onions because he has to prove his loyalty. You know, that's with what is happening with the present foreign minister.
Yeah. Now,
Because he is nothing more than a glorified foreign secretary. That's what he was in his
yes.
official career.
So
He is nothing more, but in order to prove that he is more loyal than the king, he is saying all kinds of very odd things, which no foreign minister should be saying.
yeah, you have made a very important comment. So that means from the foreign secretary, he has not been able to groom himself as a foreign minister. He has failed in that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sir, now I'm really grateful to you for sparing a time, and I will again interview maybe after the election. But now the two phases have gone. The country has gone to elections in two phases, the first phase and second phase. There are another four phases to come, or five phases to come. Now, this interview we are going to release to the people. So maybe today, evening, or tomorrow. Now, if I have to ask you that what is your message to the voters, to the Indian voters, what would you like to speak to them directly? If you are addressing an election rally, what would you speak to them today?
I would
I would
say
request you, I would request you to speak for at least 4 or 5 minutes on that. I will not interrupt you.
okay. Throughout
You
my
can
career,
speak in English and Hindi.
ठीक है, अपने लंबे अनुभव के आधार पर मैं इतना कह सकता हूं कि हमने इस देश में बहुत ऐसे समय भी देखे हैं जिसमें चारों तरफ देश में निराशा ही निराशा थी, जिसमें लगता था कि सामने कुछ रोशनी ही नहीं दिखाई दे रही है। और हर निराशा के उस दौर से ये देश निकलकर आगे बढ़ा। और किस आधार पर आगे बढ़ा? जनमत के आधार पर, लोगों की ताकत के आधार पर। और लोगों ने अपनी ताकत का परिचय कैसे दिया? उन्होंने अपनी ताकत का परिचय दिया वोट के टाइम में। आपको याद होगा कि देश में इमरजेंसी लगी थी, इंदिरा गांधी ने इमरजेंसी लगाई, फिर उन्होंने चुनाव बुलाए, चुनाव आए, और वो स्वयं का ही चुनाव हार गई। उनके बेटे थे संजय गांधी, वो अपना चुनाव हार गए। और इस देश के लोगों ने एक ऐसा सबक सिखाया हुकूमत में बैठे हुए लोगों को कि भाई ज्यादती नहीं चलेगी। और मैं आपसे कहना चाहता हूं जोर देकर कि इस मुल्क का एक मिजाज है, एक स्वभाव है। वो स्वभाव ये है कि ये मुल्क ज्यादती नहीं बर्दाश्त करना चाहता। और अभी हम देख रहे हैं कि इतनी ज्यादती हो रही है, केजरीवाल को पकड़ के जेल में डाल दिया। हमारे प्रदेश के हेमंत सोरेन मुख्यमंत्री थे, उनको पकड़ के जेल में डाल दिया। अनेक लोगों को पकड़ के जेल में डाल डाल के लोग क्या प्रूव करना चाहते हैं कि सबसे ईमानदार यही लोग हैं। और इनकी ईमानदारी का सचमुच में टेस्ट उस समय हो जब ये सत्ता से बाहर होंगे। इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड का जो मामला आया है उसमें कितना भ्रष्टाचार हुआ है, ये धीरे धीरे इसकी परतें खुल रही हैं। तो इसलिए अपने को बिल्कुल साफ सुथरा घोषित स्वयं कर देना और दूसरे को कहना कि वो भ्रष्ट है और उसको जेल में डाल देना, लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड जो है चुनाव को, उसको पूरी तरह से समाप्त कर देना, ये इस देश इस समय प्रधानमंत्री जी उनके साथियों का रवैया रहा है। हमारे देश की जनता ये सब देख रही है और उसको ये ज्यादती मंजूर नहीं है। और इसीलिए आने वाले दिनों में जब चुनाव के बाकी 5 फेज होंगे तो जनता के दिल में जो नाराजगी है वो अपने वोट के माध्यम से व्यक्त करेगी। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि चुनाव के जब नतीजे 4 जून को आएंगे तो वो चौंकाने वाले होंगे और सबसे निराश व्यक्ति जो इस देश में होगा उस दिन वो आज के प्रधानमंत्री होंगे।
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for sparing your valuable time. We'll meet again. We'll meet again sometime. I wish you all the best. I wish you good health, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Take care. Take care.